while since we've done one of these, but we're back.
That we are.
We're here to cause some chaos, break some hearts, pick some movies that are going to end some friendships, probably, since we've done one of these.
Yeah, we are. Absolutely.
Why do we have an echo? What's going on? Some hearts, pick some movies that.
There we go.
Jacob, what are you doing?
I'm getting professional in this thing. I'm
this
really...
is a taste of how professional this is going to be.
Yes, so, exactly.
Welcome to the hangout. It's what time is it? Noon. I need some alcohol already. Let's bring in the guests.
But we have some absolutely amazing and wonderful guests. So we're going to kick this off with Lady Justice herself, Marisol McKee. How are you?
I'm great. I'm fantastic. It is a little bit past noon, or it is going to be noon, depending on if you look at the glass half empty or half full. But I'm already enjoying some sips. So you're in good company, folks.
That is absolutely awesome. And we are also joined by the Coyote, Adam Collins. How are you?
Hey, he had a great introduction in Space Jam: A New Legacy, or so I was told. Topical reference. So good to be here. Marisol, you're okay too. But yeah,
thanks.
Jacob and Taylor, a pleasure. And go Formula One racing.
Oh, I'm still very tired from watching that race last night because it was
I'm tired from keeping up with your tweets. It seems very intense. It seems very dramatic. I'll get into it one of these days.
I'm not gonna lie. Yesterday's race was very, very dramatic.
The problem is we start watching the races at like midnight our time, and then if there's a big crash and the race gets red flagged, it just delays it, and then we're up until like 3 a.m. So that's essentially what we went through.
Yep.
That is a vicious cycle.
Yes. We are also joined by the incredible Mara Canopic. How are you?
I was told there'd be no math.
That's fair. The only one doing math will be me because I have to count people's votes, and that's going to be very interesting. So I have to be able to count to 7. So
I think maybe
I can do
that off.
I think I'll be able to do that. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Fun fact, I have driven a Formula One car, but never been to a Formula One race.
I'm insanely jealous right now, but it's not even funny. And I could seriously just have a Formula One conversation right now. But
I think Laura has just unknowingly volunteered herself to talk to Jacob about Formula One from now on.
This was a tactic. I came up with this a week ago. You didn't know that.
That's fair. We are also joined by the lovely the Jackals. How are you guys?
Good.
Woof woof. We're in the doghouse. You got the Jackals and the Coyote. And
yes,
I like that.
Push you away. Already.
Yeah, push. I like that. Me and Mara are offsetting the corruption overhaul going on here.
That was not intentional.
And Taylor.
Jesse.
The corruption overhaul was not intentional.
Yes, sir.
You and I have had our shots, though. That's the difference.
Yeah.
The most important question, though, is besides the two of us that I see, who else is House Slytherin here? Anybody else besides the two of us?
Oh, right. Duh. Sorry. I wanted to raise my hand eagerly again.
No.
That's okay. We're the special people. It's fine.
Hufflepuff.
That's fair.
Ravenclaw.
I have no idea what I am.
Here. Yeah.
I actually know what I never remember what I am.
You are the biggest Harry Potter fan I know, and you don't know this information.
I know.
Whatever. Slytherins represent.
I know. All right. Well,
Slytherin
speaking
proud.
of Harry Potter, we will be starting our greatest Comic-Con movie bracket. Now, the way this is going to work over the next several weeks, I have no idea how many weeks it's going to be. It's just more going to be how we all go with time. We are going to go through 286 movies and pick what is the best one. There are 9 separate 32 seeded brackets. The entire seeding was completely random. There was not a single matchup that was actually designed or ranked over certain things. It was all just I put 280 movies into a randomizer, and that was the result. So,
but you can still yell at Jacob because he randomized it. So you can get mad at him.
You can get mad at me over this. Now, If you want to influence the result, if you don't like the way a result is going and you want to influence it, go to our Streamlabs and tip $5. If you do that, you will get a vote. Put your vote in the message and your vote will count just as strong as ours, and you can even influence the results. We will give you warning at the start before we begin every single round, and if your tip has not been put in before we end the round, it will miss, and then we will ask you to pick one for another matchup. Guys, are we ready?
I mean, ready's a word for it. Like, sure. We're ready.
All right. As I said earlier, Mara, I apologize for this first matchup, but we do have Son of the Mask versus Batman. I did not intend that to be the first matchup, and then it just clicked like 30 seconds ago, and crap.
So what was the first movie I said I hope is on here before we went live?
So, Mara, I'm going to let you exercise some demons. What would your first pick? What will you pick out of these two?
I think you're going to be really shocked.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to pick No, I'm not. I'm picking Batman Returns. It's more my favorite movie, but also I don't care what it costs me. I'll never, ever watch that movie again.
That is fair and completely understandable. I have several of those that I'm like, nah, I don't care what it's going to cost me. I will never watch them again. Marisol, where are we going with you?
Oh yeah, this is a no-brainer. Returns is an absolutely iconic superhero film. It's an iconic just film in general, and it blows Son of the Mask out of the water, which everybody can agree is a stain on human existence, and we actively try to erase it from our collective memories. So yeah, no-brainer. Batman Returns.
All right, Lauren, where are we heading with you?
Oh, it's got to be Batman Returns. There's no question.
It's fair. Jesse?
So I was recently on a Schmobates against Jacob Whitneben where we argued some of the worst geek movies out there, and Son of the Mask was my argument, and it still stands. I think Batman Returns, a lot of people don't agree with this. I think it's a very slight step down from 89, but I still love the movie. I enjoy watching it. Eat Floor remains one of the best lines in DC comic films, and Batman Returns is my choice.
All right, Adam, it's a bit superfluous now, but what would you be voting for?
Are you calling me superfluous? All right. Son of the Mask is Marisol said it all. I'm gonna, I don't want to be too much of an echo chamber. So to give Son of the Mask its due, go watch Double Toasted's bad movie review of it. Because Marisol turned me on to that, and I watched it, and it was cathartic and wonderful and hilarious. And if you're going to interact with any of the content from that movie, other than watching the movie itself, which is enormously painful, just watch their review of it. Batman Returns, I think, earns its place in film history. It's wonderful. If you're a Batman fan, you're going to like it to some extent, and those of us who grew up with it tend to adore it by the droves. So, yeah, Batman Returns. On to the next round, please.
All right.
Can I throw
Taylor?
Nostalgia Critic in there too? Nostalgia Critic did a great review of Son of the Mask.
Ooh,
Duly noted.
Taylor?
Yeah, come on. I feel bad because we threw Son of the Mask in there and we're like, nope, you just straight up murder, just right off the bat, just get out.
All right, first one has bit the dust. Son of the Mask has been eliminated. Batman Return moves on. Next up, we have Battle for the Planet of the Apes versus Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Adam, I'm going to start with you.
So a lot of people are going to be like, well, obviously it's Temple of Doom, and that is ultimately my vote. But I think Battle for the Planet of the Apes, for those who haven't seen it, for those who haven't seen any of the Ape sequels, you really owe it to yourselves. You need to go back and check those out. The original film holds up wonderfully. And I think all the sequels to varying degrees have stuff to offer, especially Conquest. But Battle, even though it's kind of like a low-budget Twilight Zone-y episode, that's what I like about it in the Apes franchise. But it's not one I go back to and watch repeatedly. Temple of Doom, even though I know people are hard on it as far as the original Jones trilogy is considered, still a blast of a movie to watch. So, again, wouldn't be ashamed to see it move on. So that's my vote.
All right. Taylor, I'm going to go to you.
Oh, okay. I am also going to go with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I don't think it's a secret that Indiana Jones are not my favorite movies in the whole entire world. It completely destroyed my first ever Schmoedown match that I was in. That was the one
Mara's
thing I
gonna
didn't
leave.
want, and that's what I got.
Mara's right out.
But Temple of Doom I have so much fun with. When I actually sat down and decided to do some studying and watch them, I just have a blast with Temple of Doom. Battle for the Planet of the Apes, I don't mind it, but to me, if I was going to pick one to put on to just watch and have fun, I would pick Temple of Doom. So that's what I'm going to go with.
All right. Lauren, where are we heading?
It's got to be Indiana Jones. The scene with the heart has
Kalima.
stayed with me my entire life. It's not my favorite of the franchise, but I do think it's a lot of fun.
You also can't say it's your least favorite.
It's also not my least favorite.
So, Jesse, where are you heading?
Well, for somebody that has a Raiders of the Lost Ark poster right there, I am an Indiana Jones fan. I enjoy the movies. I like all three of the original ones to varying degrees. Growing up, actually, Temple of Doom was my favorite of the three.
Was it because of the heart?
Partially the heart,
Yeah.
partially also I love Short Round as a character. I don't care if people find him annoying. He's not as annoying as Willie. And so upon revisiting, it's my least favorite of the three, but it's still, I don't think it's a bad movie. A lot of people deem it as a bad film, and I completely disagree. Not to say that Battle for the Planet of the Apes is bad, but I just think Temple of Doom's got more watchability, rewatchability.
All right. Mara, are you going to make it a clean sweep?
Yeah, I gotta say, Adam said it best. Like, Conquest is, I think, the best ape sequel of the original ones by and large, and it would have been an easy choice if that's the ape sequel it had been. But I'm throwing myself right into the mine cart, and we're going with Temple of Doom.
All right. Yeah, it's easily Temple of Doom. All right, let's move on to our next one.
Marisol.
It's cool.
Oh, I'm so
No, no,
sorry,
no.
Marisol. I'm so
Don't-
sorry, Marisol.
Don't be sorry because I'll give you. I think it's almost a blessing in disguise because I was working myself up to talk about this. I was gonna. You were all. You just spared the entire group and anybody watching a really early peek into the irrational inner workings of my brain, and I don't have to say whatever I was about to say. So we're gonna. I second move on, but just know after some labyrinthian explanation that would have just happened, I would have landed on Temple of Doom. Just rest assured. Just
I am very sorry
Trust that
about
would
that.
happen.
I need to keep track of
I'm
who
not.
I've asked. I need to
Not.
I'm very sorry about that. Let's move on to another one that is Temple of Doom obviously does make it through. Let's move on to another one that should be a pretty easy one to go. We've got some hard ones coming up later, but this one's pretty easy. Avengers Infinity War versus the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Marisol, start us up.
So this is actually well, and I do get a second opportunity to talk about the irrational inner workings of my brain. There's a nostalgia factor for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I was the right age. I was like 12, and I was the right age, and it was stupid, and I was the right age. All I loved was stupid stuff. All I loved was stupid shit, and I thought Daredevil was great when it first came out, and I had very my taste wasn't very discriminating at all. I had a blast with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen when I was a tween. I really did like it. Everything about Infinity War is watching it as an adult, seeing it for the first time. Also with characters, a lot of the characters in the MCU I got to know first time as adult, so I didn't have like a connection to them from my childhood. All that being said, the glow faded after years with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and if I had to ask myself today, and not the 12-year-old kid of the past who was like, what the hell is an Infinity War? You know? And I have to ask myself today, I definitely have to go Infinity War.
All right. Mara?
So I'm with you, by the way. As a literary child, the concept of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, having all these characters from all these books that I remember reading, not just for school, because I've read books because I thought it was fun. I love that movie. Like, I don't have any shame in saying that it's not good, but I love it.
Yeah.
However, Infinity War is like Goosebumps every 12 and a half minutes. So, and it's got every single person gets their like clap-worthy moment when they're introduced in the film. So it's Infinity War for me.
It's actually not fair because, like, I actually think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen could have gone through to another round if it went up against something else. But that's
The mask.
Like Mara said, it was like, yeah.
If it went up
Easily.
against something else, it very easily could have gone on to another round. I'm also going to be going with Infinity War just because I really do enjoy League of Extraordinary Gentlemen from a guilty pleasure point of view. It's not terrible. Like, it is terrible, but it's not absolutely just unwatchable. There's a fun element to it being Sean Connery's last movie as well. That being said, Infinity War is Infinity War, and I can't go with anything else. Jesse, I'm going to go to you.
Okay, so if we did like potential, the potential of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen should have been just as good, if not better, than Infinity War because of the literary concepts and things. And a lot of times when people ask like, hey, what comic book or graphic novel property should be rebooted, I'm like, please, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But that's not what we got. We got, unfortunately, I believe, Sean Connery's last performance. Am I wrong on that?
That is correct.
It is.
What a shame. What a
Unless you count
damn
the
shame.
photograph and Crystal Skull.
Yeah, so just for the sadness that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen brings me, I have to... Well, also, I said Raiders poster right here. Infinity War posters right here. So if that's not obvious, it's Infinity War.
All right, Taylor.
Yeah, this is gonna be kind of an echo chamber, and it's gonna have to be Infinity War. I mean, just like, I know that people get a lot of crap online, but Infinity War and Endgame are movies that make me like very emotional. Like, the build up that it took for us to get to those movies, and then the payoff for me was just so immense emotionally that I can't pick anything but Infinity War in this situation.
Lauren.
So much like the first few, I have a lot of nostalgia for Extraordinary Gentlemen, especially because I was deeply in love with Shane West at the time. After A Walk to Remember, anything he was in was better because he was in it. It's obviously Infinity War, but I think it's still a fun watch. It's still one of like my comfort movies that, like Mara said, is not good, but it is fun to watch.
Hate to see it go. Love to watch it leave.
And Adam, where are you going?
I appreciate that Infinity War is like so ingrained in people's DNA that we're not dissecting it at this point in the discussion. Once it gets to a stiffer competition, maybe we can delve more deeply into it. I have a lot of fondness for Infinity War. But I want to give Extraordinary Gentlemen its due as well. And I'll hop on the Shane West train there. I didn't know Tom Sawyer was a crack shot like that. And I seems like he can kick that fence's ass. But I honestly, Extraordinary Gentlemen's a lot of fun because, Connery's game, he punches so many people in the face. And like that's like the spirit of Indiana Jones. And so, in a lot of ways, like, the one thing Indiana is always good at is punching people in the face, and Alan Quartermain was the template for that. So it's only appropriate that Sean Connery should channel that into his final performance. It's not great, but it doesn't deserve to be wiped from history. People should see it and give it its due. But Infinity War, sure, yeah, Infinity War.
Infinity War does move on. All right. Yeah, now this one could be interesting. I'm not actually sure what's going to win this one. Let's move on to Steel versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the 1990s.
Jesse's about to quit.
Can I just say the one quote I know from Steel?
Sure.
Dip me in shit and roll me in breadcrumbs.
All right, Jesse, I'm going to start with you. Where do you want to go with this one?
Not only is Steel a tragic bastardization of what could be a very well adapted character, Shaq, my gosh, I will always choose a Jose Canseco bat over Shaq movies. It's an easy Ninja Turtles. And you know what? To be fair, I rewatched it recently. It's not as good as I remember growing up, but it's still far and away better than freaking Steel.
Adam?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the original '90s Ninja Turtles. I like the mood of it. I like the photography. I love the puppetry, and it's not an Oscar-worthy film, but at the same time, I think it's one of the better comic book adaptations from that era. Steel is bad. Steel, but you know, like I love Judd Nelson just like grasping at straws for a career in the '90s in that movie. Like I respect that, and Annabeth Gish, like I have a fondness for her from the X-Files. So like, you know, I'm glad she's in it, even though she gets paralyzed in it, right, and just sits, like she doesn't. And she and Shaq are like not quite a couple, but you know, he'd like to be dating her. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling Steel for people, but
come on, man.
I don't want to just like gloss over it and be like, hey, it's a movie with things in it, you know, like it's got stuff, like Shaq wrapped in tinfoil. Yeah, Ninja Turtles all the way, but Steel is an interesting footnote of the '90s. So you know.
I can tell you, I watched it. I found it in a library when I was looking for movies to rent. And it just said, like, on the back, there's like a little tiny logo, like in one of the corners, it's like DC Comics. I went, oh, and I was like 11. I watched it. I was like, oh no.
Mara?
This requires a prop.
That's fair.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll get back tomorrow, Marisol.
This is tragically, sorry everybody, this is much closer for me than I'm sure it is for a lot of people. This is much closer for me. This is like, well, this is a lot closer. These are both pretty cheesy movies. I'm sorry everybody. They're both pretty cheesy, both very 90s, except the Turtles was probably made in actually literally the 80s. But this is much closer for me. I will give the edge out to Mutant Ninja Turtles because of its legacy, because it is beloved. And if I actually have to boil it down to things I actually enjoyed in one movie versus the other, I really do love April O'Neil in the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. She's great, and I have to give it the edge. Still has a lot of cheese. There's a lot of cheese in both of them, and you can laugh at both. You can get enjoyment out of both. Trust me. But I will give the edge to Mutant Ninja Turtles. But sorry, it's closer for me.
All right, Mara.
So I have a huge box of childhood toys. So also, I'd like to point out that the only correct answer to who is your favorite Ninja Turtle is Donatello.
Oh yeah.
And fight me on it, I'll win. Steel, much love to my dear friend Kevin Smets, is not a good movie. But Donnie and I, we have a thing. You don't need to ask questions about it, but it's special. His bow staff and I have a very special relationship. And I'm not ashamed to say that. So yeah, Turtles, move it through.
All right. Lauren?
I actually haven't had the pleasure of watching Steel.
It is a pleasure.
I would probably pick Turtles anyways, from what it sounds like. So Turtles.
All right.
Thanks for being the deciding factor, babe.
Tell where you're heading.
Yeah, it's tragic, but I'm going to have to go with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Just because it is really, really cheesy and ridiculous, but I do appreciate the puppetry, which is something we really don't get these days because everything is visual effects and CGI, and you know that can be great, but there is something to me that is magical about the puppetry that we got in those kinds of movies. So,
I will say, when we get,
it's another
when we
sweet.
get good. Sorry.
Go, Jesse.
I was gonna say, when we do get good puppetry, Netflix cancels it. That's all I'll say.
I don't want to talk about it.
All right, we are moving on to our next. We've finished the first quadrant. That's pretty good, guys. We're moving on to our next one: Alien versus Predator Requiem versus Daredevil.
Mm.
Lauren, I'm going to start with you. Where you want to go?
No. I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this, but I think I'm gonna choose Daredevil, and I'll tell you why.
No heat.
No heat.
Oh, good. Okay.
No, this is the second Alien versus Predator.
Oh, got it. Okay. I kind of loved Daredevil. Looking back, is it the best? No, but I think we can all agree that seesaw scene is iconic. Did it make any sense?
That is a word.
Not at all.
There with the Catwoman basketball scene. Yeah.
The sexual energy is equal.
It is. I'm gonna have to choose Daredevil.
All right, Adam, where are you going?
Well, Daredevil's a better film. Like it's just I know it's a low bar in this particular situation, but Daredevil is just it's long and a little silly, but it is not an unwatchable movie. It's very watchable. I don't go back to it very often, but I rewatched it last year, and when I saw it in theaters, it was a really good experience. I enjoyed it at the time, but the thing it has going for it. It's got that banging soundtrack, that launched a career for one band. But I appreciate Ben Affleck's, I appreciate the tude in his hair in this movie. It's coiffed just so, and I appreciate that. And Joey Pants is in it, and that kind of puts it over the edge for me. Alien versus Predator Requiem, is a movie that you have to go out of your way to remember. So, I know it's set in Colorado. There's a freebie for you, but that's about all I can offer on Requiem.
All right, Taylor.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about it, going, what can I say about AVP Requiem? What can I talk about? And literally, all I can remember is lost keys. All I can remember is someone loses their keys at some point. And that's my brain is nope, I'm not going to give you anything else. So just based on that, I'm going to have to pick Daredevil. I can't even think of anything where I can be it's got this that you can enjoy. But I got nothing. I just can't do it. So I'm going to have to go with Affleck's perfectly coiffed hair on this one. That's how it's going to have to go.
Marisol?
Yeah, Daredevil exists in this bubble of early 2000s thrash metal punkishness, and it, that's what execs thought was really cool. That's what they thought the angle was. It's my introduction to the character. It's the first time I had ever seen him or heard of him. So it does hold that spot for me, just being that gateway into it. And I did think it had an edge. I was, again, preteen, and I did think it had this edge. And I like my superheroes with edge. And it had that. I realized, you get a little older, and I realized how much sillier it is in retrospect. And that it's done much better on, a show. But it did have its place, its silly, popish place in 2003. Alien versus Predator Requiem, on the other hand, is completely incompetent just on a filmmaking level. I watch it and I'm just I was like, did somebody fuck up the exposure? I was like, what is happening? Why can't I not see what's going on at any point in this film? And I think it's a piss poor film. Forget having watched 4 or 5 superior Alien franchise films before it. I just think it's piss poor storytelling, poorly filmed, atrociously acted, and I actively hate this film. So I'm going to choose Daredevil by default. We
found a soft spot for Marisol.
By default, I'm going to pick Daredevil.
That's fair. Borrow.
I hate to be the inner geekdom player in the room, but it's actually Aliens versus Predator.
Oh, it is too.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But that's the only thing that's really worth saying about it. Everyone said it better. I will boil it down to simply saying I can see the movie Daredevil, so I will vote for the movie Daredevil.
Yeah.
Like
Jesse,
that one episode of Game of Thrones
So
that nobody
one
can
of these
see.
films I gave up on after 30 minutes. The other one has my faction mate Kevin Smith in it, and the Marvel debut of John Favreau. So, listen, I was going to ask you. I don't know if this counts, but does the director's count for the Daredevil side of things? Because I'll argue it doesn't make a difference. It's still Daredevil.
yeah, if that's how you want to justify it in your head, go ahead. But
Listen,
it's up to you.
I will say I'm surprised that they did a director's cut and kept the seesaw scene in there. But the director's cut's like kind of a more like on the verge of R-rated movie, and like Marisol said, it had an edge to it. It's even edgier, and I legitimately like it. Is it the best? No, but for like 2003, that when we're getting like some of the Spider-Man movies and we're getting Fantastic Four, it stands out as good enough.
Bad one.
Yeah. No, like it's better than Ghost Rider. I'll say it.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
I'll give you that one. All right, let's move on to our next one. Daredevil, of course, moves through with. We've had all 7-0 sweeps.
I know.
We've not had a single
We're luring everyone into a false
Oh, I know,
sense of
yeah,
I was gonna say,
security.
that means the second half is going to be ugly.
Oh yeah. All right, we move on to Return of the Swamp Thing versus Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Taylor, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. I love Star Trek, but the motion picture physically pains me. Like, it hurts me as a Star Trek fan to watch the motion picture. But, like, I can't, in good conscience, pick it. Like, I can't say that Return of the Swamp Thing is better. So, like, to me, I'm like, which one would I suffer through if I had to suffer? And I'm going to pick the motion picture because, to me, at least, it's a Star Trek film. And I'll pick a Star Trek film that's maybe not my favorite over something else that I don't really like.
Fair.
So I'm going to go with Star Trek the motion picture.
All right. Adam, where are you going?
I like this matchup. These are both fascinating movies, even if you don't like them. Return of the Swamp Thing needs to be seen by more people. It's got this subplot with these two young boys who are like trying to like figure out what's going on with the Swamp Thing, and they have this like their rapport is very endearing, but their dialogue's out of this world ridiculous. And it's like they were trying to channel like a little bit of like phoned in Stand By Me into this movie. It's really interesting. Star Trek the Motion Picture, I think, is misunderstood. Sorry, Taylor.
That's okay.
I like Star Trek the Motion Picture way more than most people. I'm a big 2001: A Space Odyssey fan, and I feel a lot of that influence in this movie, and I'm okay with that. And I think when Wrath of Khan came out, you know, that's the easy movie to love, and it's a great movie. But I love watching those two back to back because they're two sides of a coin in Star Trek. And the motion picture has an amazing score, really cool cinematography, some amazing special effects for the time. Stephen Collins is the weakest link for me, but other than that, I think the motion picture has a lot of interesting themes to it. And I think if you watch that movie on mute and throw on any album of your choice, you'll have a good time. So Star Trek the motion picture all the way. But Return of the Swamp Thing is a crazy movie, and people should see it at least once. It's really weird.
I think I need to take that recommendation where I watch the movie, but I just mute it and put the score for the movie on and watch it that way. I think I'm going to do that. That's my next project.
All right, Mara, where are you headed with this one?
I'm going to vote for space porn.
Fair.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Fair. I can appreciate that. All right, Marisol, where are we going?
I thought I was gonna, I'll probably lose a little bit of cred with this, but whatever. my reasoning is, so I haven't seen Return of the Swamp Thing. I've never seen it, not yet, anyway. But here it is. I'm curious and more interested about seeing that movie, even though I know by reputation it's probably not going to be super great. But I am more interested in seeing that than I would ever watch the motion picture again. Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Ouch.
It is my it is one of my least favorite Star Trek films. And I understand with almost agreeing with everything that Adam said about it, like give it a chance, and seeing the positives and some of the meditative beauty in it. I don't want to watch it again, and I am more curious. I would rather just watch Return of the Swamp Thing for the first time. And yeah, that reasoning sounds completely like a crock of crap. But that's enough for me to give a vote for Return of the Swamp Thing.
Late to the party
Don't
is saying
talk
that
against
it's-
yourself. Plant your flag, Marisol. Stand
Yep.
proud.
Yeah. Late to the party is with you saying seen Return of the Swamp Thing more times than I care to admit. All right. Jesse, where are you heading?
All right. Well, Marisol might enjoy this because I'm going to go through a little labyrinth of thought here. But if anyone has seen the DC Universe original Swamp Thing, it is a fantastic show. And I think the lack of interest in the property at first was part. There's a lot of things that led to its demise, but I think that's kind of part of it. So if I can just speak into existence, more interest into the Swamp Thing property, and if that's the only thing I can do here, then I'd be happy to do that. Also, one of these movies, I believe, kicks off with Born on the Bayou. And when that happens, you always know you're in for a good time. So I'm sorry to Star Trek fans and Trekkies across the board. I'm putting Return of the Swamp Thing as my vote.
All right. And Lauren, where are you heading?
Well, my dad might rescind his blessing for us to get married.
Don't
for
send him the
that
link.
choice.
Don't send him the link.
Simply because my dad is the biggest Trekkie I know. I have to choose motion picture or I will be disowned. So
Okay.
Sound reasoning across the board.
yeah.
That's fair. All right. Well, that's our first non-sweep. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. All right. But Star Trek: The Motion Picture does move through. Next up, we have Surrogates versus Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Tough one for you.
What the hell? Sorry.
Adam's gonna huff and puff anytime you put a Harry Potter movie.
Yeah, I know.
No.
He's gonna be like, oh,
I'm-
really?
I'm going to stop.
No, that's not it. That's not it at all. I just feel bad for surrogates.
Adam, where are
Don't
we
feel too
going?
bad for Bruce Willis. He gets free checks.
Surrogates isn't. I don't think Surrogates is unwatchable. I just think it's like staring at a cinder block, which is also not unwatchable. It's not great. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, I think, is a fun Harry Potter movie. I know like people who are obsessed with the books are really hard on this one for some reason. I'll take your word for it, but I think Chamber of Secrets is fun. And I have no major issues with that movie as someone who's a casual Potter observant. But Surrogates was like that really kicked off in full force, like Bruce Willis, like being like a mannequin in movies. And I think it's appropriate given the subject matter. So Chamber of Secrets is better. I vote for Chamber of Secrets.
Interesting. All right. Jesse, I'm going to go to you.
So I don't want to show my hand too much. I won't do this a lot during this tournament, but I had never heard of Surrogates until the Chandra Dhanapani challenge on the question. And Chamber of Secrets I've watched dozens of times. So it's Harry Potter for me. I also read the majority of the books, and I have a diehard Harry Potter fan who will take the ring off her finger if I said anything else.
Yeah.
You're allowed
So,
to have opinions. They just have to be the right ones.
Just not about Harry Potter. Don't worry. I have the exact same condition. Taylor has the exact same condition with me, but with Last Jedi, so it's fine. Lauren, where are you going? Fair enough.
It's Harry Potter.
Not to
Marisol?
spoil too many future choices.
Yeah, Chamber of Secrets. Chris Columbus set up the world, the detail and everything. He fully realized a beautiful world in the first film, and he expanded it in the second film and added a little another layer of menace to the story. Did a great job with Chamber of Secrets. It's not mine. I'm sure it's nobody's favorite Harry Potter movie, but it's absolutely solid installment. It's a great film. And superior to Surrogates in every way, except in spite of all the impressive wigs and everything, makeup and wigs that you got going on in Chamber of Secrets. I don't think anything tops Bruce Willis's hairpiece in Surrogates. so still, that hairpiece is not strong enough to sway the vote. So I will go with Chamber of Secrets.
Mara.
Okay, so I'm actually one of those people that I don't really dislike Chamber of Secrets. I actually think it's surprisingly faithful adaptation of the book, which is probably why most movie people don't really like it, because it kind of drags, because books have time to linger and develop and let you just marinate with characters. So I don't mind it. It's not my favorite, most definitely not, but I was the right age for Christian Coulson, and I was like, I'm here for Hot Voldemort. So Chamber of Secrets and mate.
Relatable on every level.
Hashtag Hot Voldemort.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just here for the hot villains in every circumstance. So let's just let that be known. So I'm really weird when it comes to Harry Potter movies, and I tend to like the ones that people don't like or like less than the other ones. So Chamber of Secrets, to me, I have a lot of fun with it. I think the world building is great. I love that it lingers a little bit more than maybe some other films do. And I always get really sad when people talk about how it's not really a good movie and they don't enjoy it, just because I think it's a lot of fun. So I tend to be on the more unpopular side of the film opinions when it comes to Harry Potter. But I love Chamber of Secrets. Hot Voldemort is where it's at. I don't know what else you guys want from me. That's all I got.
All right. Chamber of Secrets definitely moves on there. All right, next one we have an MCU director going up against an MCU film. Doctor Strange versus Cowboys and Aliens. I'm going to start with Marisol. Where are we going?
Okay. I will just speak for everybody here. No, but yeah. Doctor Strange all the way. This is another matchup of a film that I try to forget versus a film that definitely was a refreshing thing. I'm one of those people I'm not an MCU fangirl. So I'm not a bought in audience for that franchise. They have to earn my approval with every film, even though I have an inclination towards superhero stuff in general. I start from square one with all of them. I start like let me just see what this has to offer. And I most of the time I end up loving them. And I end up at least enjoying them. Doctor Strange, I started from square one. It was one of the ones I was the most excited to see, because I thought it really shook up something I genuinely looked and felt like something I hadn't seen before in this cinematic universe, and it did mostly deliver with that. Definitely, I think certainly. Cowboys and Aliens, thought it was going to be something we hadn't seen before, and then it ended up being an absolute slog. Very, very dank, very dark, very joyless. Dreary, it dragged. It was a nightmare. It's everything you don't want it was so front loaded and pushed as this big event, this blockbuster event that was going to happen. And just in the title, in the completely unimaginative title, Cowboys and Aliens, it was just like a pitch meeting, and they just didn't create a title for the film. They were like, oh God, we didn't make a title for the film. They're like, don't worry about it. It's Cowboys and Aliens. People are gonna come out in droves to see it. No, they're not, Favreau, because it's not a good movie. And this is somebody expecting something to be a hit just because of the concept, but they didn't actually back it up with invested or joy or any kind of enthusiasm for the material they were making. So it's pretty clearly Doctor Strange for me, because of the imaginative direction that the way they really brought to life, that Derrickson really brought to life. strange in his world. They brought it vividly to life, and I wanted to be a part of it. And I can't wait for multiverse.
All right, Lauren, where are you heading?
It's hard to follow up Marisol and all of her descriptions.
Sorry, I don't get out much. This is my
Speak your truth, Marisol. Speak your truth.
I love it. I genuinely love it. Doctor Strange is one that has grown on me over time. Jesse is a Doctor Strange simp. And so I've had a lot of things explained to me more that initially I was like, this wasn't my favorite. And he was like, yeah, but have you considered this?
Oh no. Don't say I mansplained Strange to you. I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna sling ring out of here.
I did really enjoy it though. And I enjoyed even more now. So I pretty much forgot about Cowboys versus Aliens, except for that Olivia Wilde was in it. So it's Doctor Strange.
She came out of
for
some
me.
fire at some point or something.
I mean, she's hot.
Yeah. I was gonna go, but I haven't been called upon.
Jesse, so I think we're all guessing where you're going.
Yeah, way to spoiler alert. Okay, so for me, this is not on the same tier necessarily, but Cowboys and Aliens is another one where there's things on the list it could have beat, because I saw 2011, not to make anyone feel old, I was 18. I was ready for some dumb stuff, and I went and I saw Cowboys and Aliens, and I didn't regret seeing it. I was like, all right, Doctor Strange is my second favorite origin film in the MCU. So that's kind of the whole explanation in a nutshell. One was fine. One is, I love it so much.
I actually found for him Doctor Strange cufflinks for our wedding.
Oh,
So that's the level we're at here.
Fair
I
enough.
love all this insight from Lauren. This is fantastic.
By the hoary hosts of Hogarth, I choose Doctor Strange.
Adam, where are you heading?
So yeah, Cowboys and Aliens is a bizarre little experiment that cost a lot of money, but
true.
I finally caught up with it in recent times. I didn't see it when it came out, and then I saw it not too long ago, and maybe it was just the fact that like I had really low expectations. I didn't love it at all, not even close. But I was like, this is way more watchable than people led me to believe. Like compared to something like Jonah Hex. Sorry if that comes up, but like I think Cowboys and Aliens is better than that. Low bar, but anyway, I Clancy Brown's in it, and I'm sorry, like nothing against Paul Dano, but there's something about him just getting beaten up in a movie that's like really funny to me. Like he gets slapped around in Cowboys and Aliens so much, like everyone's hitting him and punching
And
him,
prisoners.
and he's just
And there will be blood. I think it's in his contract.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
man, he's about to
all right,
punch
all right.
around too.
In prisoners, it's very upsetting. But in Cowboys and Aliens,
But is
it's
it?
pretty hilarious. Well,
You're like, well,
Mars!
can we have the Cowboys and Aliens versus prisoners discussion instead? I think that's where we need to go. I love Doctor Strange as a character. So I was really excited about this movie from the get-go, and I think it's one of the better Marvel movies to come out from that time. It really blew the doors off with what was possible and opened up the wider audience to more, to more like random storytelling in the Marvel world. So Doctor Strange is my vote, but Cowboys and Aliens, it's weird, it's not great, but again, it's not the worst from this lot.
No, it's fair enough. Mara, where are we going?
Right.
So I'm also a Doctor Strange defender in the MCU. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's just Iron Man with a doctorate instead of an engineering background. And
No.
I know some people don't like the subversion of expectations that the end is anticlimactic and that, the problem is solved through brains, not brawn. But that works for me. That works for me hardcore. The only small thing that I always have to say about the film is that it breaks my heart that Giacchino, one of the most visionary composers since John Williams, ripped off his own Star Trek music to make that movie. It's the only thing that I wish were better. But yeah, I'm definitely going Doctor Strange. And my next most important question is, Jesse, are you going to wear the vaulting boots of Valtor at your reception?
Absolutely. I will be hovering up to the
I'm not walking down the aisle. He's floating down the aisle.
That's right. She'll have the cloak of levitation, so she will also be flying, and I'll just be skipping along in the air.
Oh, God.
Someone needs to record all of this. I mean,
Taylor.
Okay, so I can't really say much more than has already been said. Cowboys and Aliens is not the worst film on this bracket by any means, but putting it up against Doctor Strange, like, I can't. There's not much else. Like, it's Doctor Strange. It is one of my favorite MCU films. I love what it did for the MCU. Like Adam said, it just blew the doors open on what was going to be possible. It's just a beautiful film. I love all of the effects that they use in the movie. It's stunning. It's fun. I love that it brings a lot of the magic element into the MCU that we're seeing a lot of now since then. So and I also am with Mara. I like the brains aspect of it, that it's, there is cool action and there's fight scenes, but a lot of it is brains over brawn, and that's a lot of fun to explore. Even though people find it boring, I think it's a lot of fun and I like it a lot.
Yeah. I must be in the massive minority of this group. I think Cowboys and Aliens is a terrible movie, like a genuinely awful movie. So bad that, and Jon Favreau made another movie about how much he hated making this movie. So yeah, Doctor Strange absolutely is getting the vote for this.
I want to make a question, I guess, because I believe Adam brought up Jonah Hex and saying Cowboys and Aliens is better than Jonah Hex. Is it possible that Cowboys and Aliens might be the least offensive of that, Jonah Hex, and Lone Ranger?
I'll watch Lone Ranger before I watch this.
Okay. Offensive is a broad word.
It's very subjective.
My eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we are moving on to without realizing, I think this one's going to hurt. This one's actually going to be a lot more painful for people. Lord of the Rings: Return of the King versus Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
I don't like you anymore.
Conquest
realizing, I think I've ruined a lot of friendships without realizing.
It's so tough.
Mara, do you want to rip the Band-Aid off early, or do you want to have the deciding vote?
No. I want to leave this train off the cliff.
Okay.
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm going to Marisol this for a second. I'm going to stream of consciousness.
How will I become a term in like 40 minutes?
I'm going to use that in a post-match. I'm going to use Marisoling it. Nobody's going to know what I'm talking about.
Welcome to
Mara is a
non-people
bad verb.
sessions,
Marisol is a
people.
good verb.
Yes.
Okay, so I really do. I legit love Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. I think that it actually is one of the best Apes films, not just the original films. I think it's one of the best Apes films. Oh, man. Return of the King is shocker for a lot of people. It's not actually my favorite Lord of the Rings film, but I think they're all spectacular. Okay, wait. I have a huge qualifier. This will actually straight up make my decision for me. Theatrical or extended?
It's either or. Like I said, this is based off IG, so both are in.
Okay, so extended is in there now. So
extended.
Yeah, I'm actually. It really is tough. This is super tough for me to do, but I'm gonna edge it to Return of the King because I do like the extended edition of Return of the King. I don't mind the extra material. I think it helps it. I think it actually makes it better. I love Conquest, though. Please don't think of this as me breaking up with you, Conquest. You can be my side piece, but today I'm going to walk outside holding hands with Return of the King.
Adam, where are you going?
Conquest deserved going up against Son of the Mask. This is not. This is a second round matchup. This is like the Jacoby. This is like the Bancroft Blunden of this. This is bullshit. Okay. All right. Okay.
You drove the Coyote to swear. That's how furious he is.
Ow.
I never swear ever. Conquest of
He would have said
Conquest-
this is poppycock. All right, if you were
Balderdash, in
Natural.
fact.
Yeah. Utter shenanigans. But Conquest of the Planet of the Apes is, like Mara said, I echo everything she said. It's wonderful. It's a very daring, very political movie that was a huge influence on the modern trilogy of Apes movies. If you go back and watch the originals, you'll see that Escape and Conquest specifically really etch a lot of what we see in the newer movies. But Lord of the Rings, those three movies, they're immortal to me. Like, I love the books, I love the movies. Not enough can be said about them. Similar to Mara, it's not my favorite. My personal favorite's Fellowship, but Return of the King is an excellent movie, and it winning Best Picture was a Best Picture for the entire trilogy as far as I'm concerned. So Return of the King, but honorable mention for Conquest because it's fantastic, and it did so much with so little.
Jesse.
So, partially because I don't want to upset anybody. It's not a matter of, for me, what's a better film or well-constructed film. It's a matter of investment. And if we're talking about franchises, I've always been more invested into Middle Earth, not Middle of the Earth. That's like
Earth.
Journey to the Center of the Earth is a great film. But
Jesse loves all Earth-based movies.
That's true. That's true. Armageddon included. But for me, it's Return of the King, just because I'm more attached to these characters. I can name everybody in the film, and I like rewatching.
So.
That's another qualifier for the wedding. And the Apes movies, not to be like recency bias, I love the new trilogy. War made both of us cry.
It did, yeah. I'm not ashamed to admit
out of these, it's got to be Return of the King.
All right, Lauren.
I have to start my turn by requesting to see the cat that I can see the tail of.
You want to come say hello? Come say hi.
He's a good boy.
100 out of 10, beautiful cat.
And I'm adorable.
And
I wear a
my
tuxedo all the time because I'm so
gosh.
fancy. And he has a bow tie on also.
That's adorable.
good boy? Yeah,
That's
he's my good boy.
Well, for me, it's the cat.
The cat wins the whole bracket.
That's fair.
Did you
That's
say
fair.
Cats wins the bracket? Wow, this is not what I expected.
I have to start out by saying, not only am I a fantasy slut, I love Lord of the Rings like an unhealthy amount. When I'm sick, I just pile through the trilogy, like from start to finish. Our first date, Jesse was injured, and he was like, "Will you come visit me? I'm sad." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I think you're hot, so we'll be right back." And he asked me to bring something to watch, and I was like, "Okay." So I showed up, and
First impression.
he was like, "What did you bring?" And I was like, "Well, the extended edition of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, obviously."
It was a good sign. I knew she was in it for the long haul because she's going to stay with me for about 18 hours.
This is no hate to apes. I just have such a hard-on for Lord of the Rings that, unfortunately, I'm so sorry, you two. Much respect. I have to go to Lord of the Rings.
Marisol.
Yeah, I'm the same with most in here. This is not a slight of film like of the loser being like an unworthy. Obviously the Apes sequels. We're doing a lot about franchise or sci-fi franchising sci-fi and giving credibility to sequels before sci-fi really took off, in Hollywood, really getting it done and just committing to it and giving quality sequels. But Lord of the Rings we all know it. It's a once in a lifetime production. It is once in a lifetime series. They're all pretty much one film because it's just one giant production. And like you guys said, it's splitting hairs. Yeah, Fellowship is my favorite film, but it's splitting hairs. Return of the King is still an extraordinary once in a lifetime example of the genre and just peak filmmaking, the potential of filmmaking in general. What it does when we push it to the absolute edge, in terms of creativity, of craftsmanship, of thousands of artists collaborating and making the ultimate peak art, peak filmmaking. And even if you're just like a great movie, you couldn't even compete with that. So it's a no-brainer, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yep.
Is anybody else's favorite Two Towers or just me? Yeah. Okay.
Fair.
I forgot to say that, but yeah, I was wondering when you
Taylor.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet, just because everyone has kind of covered everything. But I am gonna go with Return of the King. I watched the Lord of the Rings movies for the first time when I was like 20, 21. So they kind of have I have a different relationship with them than a lot of people do. But Return of the King, like full face, just waterfall tears, sobbing after I saw that movie. So I have to go with that one.
Yeah, I'm the same. Return of the King gets my vote. And unfortunately, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes has been eliminated, and Return of the King makes it through. And we move on to our next, what I'm sure is also going to be another controversial one. But we have Constantine versus Star Wars The Phantom Menace. Taylor, I'm going to start with you.
Why?
Because I mean,
Why are you starting? Okay, so I have I think I have a relationship with Star Wars prequels like a lot of people have with like Lord of the Rings and those kind of things. Like I grew up with them. They're very nostalgic for me. I saw them all in the theaters. Like, are they necessarily the best movies? No, but I love them. Like they mean a lot to me. I love a lot of the story elements, and I love the visuals, and I love so much about it. Constantine is a fun movie, and there's a lot that I appreciate about Constantine, but just from a perspective of if I was going to pick one to put on just based on what it means to me, I would put on The Phantom Menace. So that one's going to get my vote.
all right. Marisol.
Oh, nice. I think it is helpful to get off of the internet sometimes and realize that the internet isn't, that, films aren't boiled down to, especially when it comes to Star Wars films, they're amazing or they absolutely suck. There's not extremes with it. There's a lot of in between, and it's okay to say like, this movie does this really well and then these things not really well when it comes to Star Wars films. And it's okay to be in the middle on them a lot. And Phantom Menace is absolutely one of those. And I'm like, in the middle. I'm like absolutely nowhere near my favorite Star Wars film. But I like, people are just like, oh my god, it's just terrible. It sucks. No, it doesn't. I don't hate it. I was never part of the vicious, aggressive backlash, the vitriol for it. I can definitely watch Phantom Menace over again, even while being super annoyed by Jar Jar Binks. I can watch it again. Love the pod racer scene. I love that. And Duel of the Fates. It gave us Duel of the Fates, some of the most iconic Star Wars music ever. And an epic, one of the most epic lightsaber fights ever, in one of the most iconic Star Wars villains ever. There's so many positives. It's unfortunate that we saw all the stiltedness that comes with Lucas being completely in control, script and directing. We saw like maybe the downside of having him completely in control in that aspect, but still absolutely rewatchable film. I have no problem sitting down and rewatching Phantom Menace. That being said, love Constantine. I love Constantine. That is going to be my pick because that caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting much from it when I went to see it in theaters. When I was a teenager, I went to go see it in theaters. Wasn't expecting much from it. I was just like, this looks kind of cool. And was smitten. I think it was a great find for Keanu Reeves to utilize his limited capabilities as an actor in a role that suited him and worked. and kind of synced into the deadpan nature that he maybe purposely or unintentionally just kind of gives off. I think it was a great fit for him. I die for Tilda Swinton in a suit. And I really dig it. The cast, they hit the jackpot with the cast in the film, from Jimon Hounsou to Peter Stormare as the devil. They just knocked it out of the park with all the details and the attention to details in that film, and created a nasty, sinister little, but still incredibly accessible movie about, the devil and evil walking amongst the earth. They just introduced you enough. If you've never read the comics before or never had anything about it, Constantine is a great introduction. I think it's so stylish. Francis Lord is such a stylish director, and he directs the hell out of it. Constantine is my pick because it's a very fun movie to revisit, and I enjoy it more than I enjoy watching Menace, even though I can easily rewatch Menace again and enjoy it too. All
right, Mara, where are you heading?
I was so willing you to pick me next. I think that it turns out Marisol and I are like platonic soulmates. So I love Constantine. I really, really love this movie. People that throw it shade, I get it if it's not their speed. Like, I never want to make someone like something if they don't like it, and I never take away someone's joy if they like something I don't like. I don't know what that was, but I'm assuming it was my ghost. Sorry. But I think that for me, Phantom Menace, I was the right age to go in and just love it unabashedly. I recognize it for its faults. I'm not blind to them, especially the racial stereotypes. Find those very hurtful. But I will watch every single minute of every single talk about blockades and the Trade Federation and Space Court, and I will watch all of it just to get to Duel of the Fates, because for me personally, it's the it's coalescing every single thing into my favorite lightsaber fight. I know a lot of people, it's Last Jedi, and that's totally fine. Like, it's an awesome lightsaber fight, but this is my favorite. It's some of the most beautiful music I think has ever been put to page. And John Williams is my guy, by the way. Like, we're tight. But it hurts me to actually vote against Constantine for that reason, because I love that movie. Like, my spirit is right with it, especially because, like, Rachel Weisz is like, oh, she's just like so hot. But it's Phantom Menace for me. But like, by that much though.
Wow. All right, Adam, where are we going? Oh, sorry. And also, Robert Parker put this up in the chat. I can't believe I missed the Conquest vs. Return of the King fight.
He may have swayed the vote. He may have been, gotten another one for Conquest.
Would anyone like to see a Dan Merle in his natural habitat real quick?
Yeah. Dan.
He's got a bonnet and he's got a face mask on. I'm ready for it.
just say hello and then go back to work, I promise. He's so busy today. Oh, he has to climb over my lights. I'm sorry, Dan.
Watch your step.
Oh, the cat just almost killed him. I'm sorry. I won't ask you to say hello ever again. You don't have to sit down. Just say hi.
Hey, Dan. Hey.
All right, go back to work. I'm getting ready to work on this week's episode of All My Movies, which is about Masters of the Universe, by the way. So
what?
How appropriate!
Oh my God, Adam's gonna lose his mind.
Okay. So me and Chance did a whole like podcast episode just dissecting Masters of the Universe last month, because I'm obsessed with that movie. But he and I went over Twister. I'm very grateful, but I'm just saying, like, I can't wait to see that episode. I'm very curious. All right, so it's hard to follow up Mara and Marisol. It's tough. You two want to just keep talking? Like,
this could be our toughest battle. Honestly,
we should probably talk outside of this. Yeah, we probably should get to the bottom of these.
How about you two just get a drink, talk about these two movies, record it, and send it back to us, because I think we'd love to hear it. So yeah, Constantine's great. I love Keanu Reeves, and I love the the constant tease we're getting of him somehow being reincorporated into DC movies as Constantine. I hope that happens. Why not? I went back and rewatched Constantine last year because I know a lot of people have grown more fond of it over the years, and I liked it better than I did when I saw it when it was originally released, for sure. The only thing, as a fan of horror and stuff, with a movie like Constantine, I think it's nothing. I don't hold this against Francis Lawrence or the film itself, but in that era, they had to rely on more CGI than maybe I think a film of this genre should have to. And I'd love to see them meet in the middle sometime, where they maybe, if it's not with Keanu, but somebody, they meet somewhere between what this film does right and what the series did on a more grounded level, and kind of find that balance. Constantine is a strong DC movie that deserves to be reevaluated if people have forgotten about it. But Phantom Menace for me, even though it's very wooden at times, I missed that comment. Damn it. Yes, Eric. I agree with Eric. The Phantom Menace is a movie I saw several times in theaters, and while the bad things are still bad, a lot of it's been immortalized, and it established a lot of things about Star Wars canon that have expanded in this giant story that we've all come to know and love. So Phantom Menace by a slight edge, but Constantine's great.
Okay.
I love Constantine, though.
Yeah.
Lauren, I'm going to go to you.
I, much like Mara, if only for the score alone, have to pick Phantom Menace. I was a band kid growing up, so I have a real soft spot for scores. That can make or break a movie for me. Phantom Menace is beautiful, from start to finish. Is the film beautiful from start to finish? No. But I have to give the edge to Star Wars.
Quick roll call. Who in here was a band kid growing up?
Me.
Still am.
Okay.
All right.
Pretended to do choir.
All right, Jesse, where are you going with this? Because you could have
swing vote.
Constantine.
Okay, so
I'm not going to be mad if Constantine goes.
No, I'm not either.
No, yeah.
This matchup threw me off because I looked at it and my brain's first reaction was Constantine's a better movie. And then I was like, well, then I started thinking about things, because sometimes in retrospect, when a new incarnation of something comes out, at least in your mind's eye, it can taint the previous incarnation. And I...
You beat me.
Taint.
You beat me by a second.
All right, children.
You did it to yourself,
Very
Swift.
mature, guys.
We lost Mara. We lost Mara.
I'm one of the oldest people here, too.
I believe Adam brought up the series for a second. And to me, speaking of things being immortalized like Phantom Menace, Matt Ryan has been immortalized to me as Constantine. And he just nailed the comic book character and everything I want from that. And so that's my shining beacon now. And so there's enough things that I really appreciate about the Constantine film, but I had to start breaking things up. And I'm like, what stuck with me? What did I love? And when I start doing that and think about what things have affected me more in the long run as a young-ish adult person, human, it's Phantom Menace for me, because of the music, because of the lightsaber duels, because of the quotes, whether they be good or bad.
And Sassy Kenobi.
Sassy Kenobi is always a win. Shia LaBeouf docks massive points from Constantine as Chaz. But then Tilda Swinton gains points. So I'm glad that I'm the last person, because I'm looking at this, and this whole time I'm like, boop, boop, boop. And especially as you guys are making points, I'm like, can I shift again? Or again? So I just have to say one before I change my mind again. I'm going Phantom Menace.
All right. That was a lot closer than I thought, and that's actually the first upset from because I went through and predicted a whole bunch. That's the first one that's an upset. So I expected Constantine to get through that one. So I would have picked Star Wars Phantom Menace because to me that's the best prequel. and I'm weird on
Agreed.
the island on that island. I think it's the best. I think it's the best prequel. It's the one that has the most interesting and fascinating story behind it. It's just not as well executed as I would like, just because Lucas is not as talented of a physical director than someone like Kirshner, who probably would have really benefited. Like, he would have been great with this story, and that I think Lucas just needed to give up a little bit of control. But I thoroughly enjoy both of these movies, but Phantom Menace just gets the edge for me.
All right. Well,
It's also my favorite prequel, by the way. So you're not alone.
Okay, that's good. All right, we are moving on to Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales versus Elektra.
Marisol, do you want to kick us off on this one?
Oh shit. No. Okay. Here's my unformed opinion. Here it comes. I guess it'll be quick then, because like I don't have a speech prepared. Sorry, guys. Dead Men Tell No Tales. Elektra. When I think of Elektra, all I think about is comparing it to Daredevil, and it's no question. I would absolutely watch Daredevil again before I watch Elektra. Elektra's embarrassing. It's really goofy. It takes itself way too seriously. It doesn't have the silliness, the goofiness, seriousness balance that the first Daredevil has. It takes itself way too seriously. And when a movie starts doing that and doesn't realize, you're like, you guys, this is stupid. Calm down. Like, and the movie doesn't realize it. That's like what it's like watching Elektra. So that's when you end up feeling embarrassed for the actors in it. Yeah, that's the point where you know the movie's really bad. Elektra gives me that. I don't get that watching Dead Man Tell No Tales. Even though some of the special effects for a series with otherwise impeccable special effects throughout the whole thing, I was just praising the other night the special effects in Dead Man's Chest are some of the best I've ever seen in my life. I think they're absolutely groundbreaking on Davy Jones. But Dead Men Tell No Tales are a little wonky. It's almost like things weren't completely rendered in that movie a couple times. Still, I wasn't embarrassed watching it, even though I'm okay if there never is another Pirates movie ever again. I'm okay with that. This wasn't a whimper out the door. It wasn't like this franchise must die. I still, you can't go wrong when you make Javier Bardem your villain. And I still would pick this. This is more a case of just Elektra is just so much weaker for me. So I'm going to go with Dead Men Tell No Tales.
All right. I'm going to go Jesse.
I have to disagree with Robert Parker in the chat. He says maybe the two worsts. One of them is. Elektra falls in that. Yeah, it's bad. It's really, really bad. I recently did a Pirates rewatch, and I will say that there might be a Pirates film where Elektra could edge out on it, but it's not Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie's fine. It's definitely weak when compared to the other films, but I think, like Marisol said, it didn't necessarily go out on a whimper. It just didn't go out on a very strong note. But it's fine. And it wins. Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Part of me is like, yeah, Elektra really sucks and it's really bad. But part of me is like, I love the obnoxious use of music that they put in certain scenes where they're just like, you know what? We're doing it with this song. It's just going hard, and we're going to try and take this as seriously as possible, even though it makes no sense. And I'm almost like, I want to like give it that just because of how ridiculous it is. Like,
one
part
of
of
your
me
villains is Tattoo Man. Like, how serious can you take it? Tattoo Man.
So I'm going to vote for Elektra.
Okay.
Just because, why not?
Adam.
Yeah, so, as much as I appreciate that Elektra set the precedent for female superheroes having to die before they get their own movies, I will say that
That was spicy.
I like Dead Men Have No Chests. For what it is. Look, like, honestly, Dead Men Tell No Tales is like, I saw that way after the fact as well. Like everyone was so mad when it came out. Like, enough pirates. I'm like, I don't care. And then I watched it on Disney Plus like a year ago. I was like, it's okay. Like I was like, I watched it, and the guillotine scene in the beginning cracked me up. Like that was like some Chaplin level, like pirates shenanigans that I really enjoyed. Like all the, like that's the stuff I love about those movies. And I'm in the minority of people who honestly, Stranger Tides and Dead Men Tell No Tales, I like things about both of those movies more than At World's End, because At World's End is so bloated and exhausting. And like at least the other, like 4 and 5 are like shorter and just like have their own little like beats to them. So yeah, Dead Men Tell No Tales I think is an ultimately watchable lark of a movie, and I also love Jeffrey Rush in that ridiculous wig. It's hilarious. Yeah.
All right, Mara.
So this is probably going to be very surprising, but I'm actually going to pick Elektra, and my basis is I feel like Johnny Depp's kind of phoning it in this movie, which is kind of sad because, I mean, he's such a staple of that franchise. And even though Elektra is not good, not even a little good, it's only like an hour 45. So it's a pretty quick watch. It's really forgettable, which means that every time I rewatch it, I'm like, oh yeah, that happens. Like it's kind of fresh every time. So I'm not just like waiting for the 2+ hour movie to kind of wrap itself up. And it's not that I hate this movie. I don't hate pirates. I don't really hate any of them, but given the choice, I'd rather rewatch Elektra. So I'm going to choose Elektra.
All right. Lauren, where are you going?
I mean, Elektra is technically a film. I actually know a weird amount about it, and I don't know why.
I really want to speak to that.
I guess some things just stuck.
Every time an Electra-related question has come up in IG or in the IG matches of the Schmodown, every time we're watching it, she knows it like that, and I'm like, why? Why? Like there was an opening quote. It's like, what movie starts with like this quote or whatever? And she's like, oh, it's Elektra. And I'm like, get out.
I guess it made its impact, but mostly like the scene where she takes all her groceries and it's like all in order for no reason. I thought this one would be easier. It's not. The first 3 Pirates movies I have a really strong love for. I know people don't agree. That's fine. The 5th one did some things I didn't like. I especially didn't like what they did to Elizabeth Swann's character. They turned her into just a running woman with no lines. And that really, really made me mad. I still think it wins by the slightest margin. Elektra is bad. I think we all can agree. But there's enough about it that is like so bad that you kind of can't look away, like a bad car accident where you're like, it's hard to look at, but I kind of want to see what happens next. So by the slightest margin, I'm going to give it to Pirates.
All right. Pirates of the Caribbean makes it through. We have our next one. Mara, please don't hate me for this. I'm very sorry. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Turtles in Time.
What the... I mean...
I don't know how it did this, but...
Random!
Yep.
It's about as random as the Schmodown wheel. Wow.
Yeah.
You mean how it gets opponent's choice every time?
Or the slices that the competitors put on? I don't know how that happens. I'm sorry. There's actually no liquor in this. Also, I'm completely sober.
Okay, this one's interesting because I think that I get more enjoyment out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 than I do the third one. But like, part of me enjoys how ridiculous the third one is because there's literally time travel and they're doing time travel, but then like the way that they do it is just it just fascinates me that they're just like, we're just gonna jump into the realm of time travel and it's not really gonna make any sense, but we're just gonna have fun with it. And there's gonna be a character that's totally not the same character that's in present time. We're gonna call him something else, but it's totally the same character. I don't know, man. Like they both just have their levels of like there are things to appreciate, but then they're just so ridiculous. I think I'm gonna have to go with the second movie. I'm gonna go with Secret of the Ooze because, giant radioactive mutated dandelions. Like how can you pass up on that?
Fair. Lauren, where are we going?
I actually haven't seen either, so I'm going to be a wild card here. And
All right.
simply based off the titles, I like ooze, so I'm going to.
Mara, as the Ninja Turtles expert, where are we going?
All right, this is going to be a thorough analysis.
All right.
Okay. I am not a hater of the third movie. I know a lot of people, even when they love the trilogy, they're like, ugh, the third one, it just kind of dropped the ball completely. I don't mind it. I kind of like what's going on there. Some people, they went big. There are some big performances in that movie, and I'm here for it. I also really love ooze. I can't wait until we start talking about some Power Rangers things, because there's some ooze-related things in there as well. But I cannot vote against the freaking ninja rap. Go ninja, go ninja, go, go ninja, go ninja, go. I'm here for that. So yeah, it's Turtles 2.
All right.
I want a gif of Mara doing. Please, can somebody make that happen with the beautiful red bouncing hair, please?
I know every word of that song, and I'm not ashamed of that. And I also am not at all ashamed that like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song routinely gets danced when I'm waiting for the oven to preheat. So.
Jesse, I'm going to go to you next.
Okay, one of these movies I've seen more than 10 times. The other one I watched once as a child. My answer starts with
Go ninja, go ninja, go.
that's all.
Marisol.
My answer.
Yeah, this one isn't. Sorry, I this one isn't going to be interesting. I'm in the same camp as you, Lauren. I sorry everybody, I haven't seen either of these films. I'm so sorry. So I'm gonna go with the one where they time travel to Japan.
Okay.
That's fair.
That's not a bad
Adam?
choice.
Because that's cool. Sorry, Turtle Rap, but like this is like the offensive vote, because I'm like, you don't even know them. You don't even know turtles. Like, you don't even you don't deserve turtles. I'm sorry, maybe that's true, but like I do have a vote, so like
You deserve all the turtles. But don't listen to the haters.
I want to get a turtle as a pet, so maybe that's a start.
I hope both of the
Adam.
produced ones go against each other.
I think Marisol's like gravitating towards feudal Japan because she's channeling her inner Toshiro Mifune with that bun right now. You got a good vibe going there.
Astute observation.
All right. So honestly, I grew up with the original Turtles films, like a lot of people my age, and I really, really love the first two, and the third one gets maligned like all the time. But what I will say about the third one is its use of the song Tarzan Boy by Baltimora is on point. And seeing a bunch of samurai dressed up in sweatpants dancing at a club to Tarzan Boy while Elias Koteas is like, why am I back for this movie? It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's not great, but I don't hate watching Turtles 3. It's a lot of fun. But Ninja Turtles 2 is so cool when you put it in context. Like it's not as good as the first movie. And it's silly, but if you were the right age, it's got everything. It's got karate, it's got pizza, it's got Super Shredder, and yes, And my favorite Ninja Turtles video game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3: The Manhattan Project on the original Nintendo, incorporates the characters from Ninja Turtles 2. So like Razor and Toka are boss fights in that, as well as Rocksteady and Bebop. So it combined the cartoon and the movies, which is so cool. And then you fight Shredder, you beat him. Then you fight Krang, you beat him, and the final boss is Super Shredder from Ninja Turtles 2. So yeah, a lot of nostalgia here, but Ninja Turtles 2 is a blast. That's my vote.
Ninja Turtles 2 makes it through. Alrighty. I didn't miss anyone, did I? Nope. Okay. Next, we have Back to the Future Part 2 versus X-Men The Last Stand. Taylor. Okay.
I need to gather my thoughts here for a second.
Jesse, I'm going to go to you first, actually.
Okay. Like I just told Lauren, I actually like one of these movies. And it's Back to the Future too. You know what? And I keep waiting to change my mind because everybody tells me how wrong I am, so I just tend to believe them. But growing up, 2 was my favorite of the 3 Back to the Futures, and every time I rewatch them, I always stop after 2 because I just remember that 3 is fine-ish, I guess. But I think it's because I wanted a hoverboard so bad, and as fun and genuinely good as the first Back to the Future was, 2, the imagination was all over the place, and I love seeing that, and I still enjoy seeing that. My favorite Marvel property from a comic book aspect is X-Men. I grew up with the 90s cartoon. It was my introduction to superheroes. A lot of people had Batman. I had X-Men and Spider-Man. I am so nitpicky and probably unfairly brutal to the X-Men property. And X-Men 3 was the beginning of the downfall. Other than maybe Kelsey Grammer, I hate this movie. So it's got to be Back to the Future 2.
That's fair. Mara, I'm going to move to you.
I don't have a super strong opinion about either of these movies. I don't hate Back to the Future 2, and I don't really hate X-Men The Last Stand, but I don't love either one of them either. I just prefer the first Back to the Future movie. It's my OG favorite. And Last Stand is by far the most inferior of that first trilogy of films. But I am not ashamed to say that I kind of find Kelsey Grammer Beast a little attractive. And if I have to pick, though, I mean, I like watching Hugh Jackman do things. I like a blue furry man. And even though they screwed up Phoenix twice now, I'm still going to go with X-Men The Last Stand.
Interesting. All right. Marisol.
I can go again if you want.
Marisol.
He was about to call me a fusion of the two of us. Marisol. Yeah, that's what he was about to call us.
Oh my God, we make a beautiful baby.
Yeah.
She would have great hair for
That's
sure.
She would have red, gigantic, like Hermione-esque hair. Yeah, because that's my hair's natural state. It's just Hermione. When they say hair type, they're like thin, curly, full Hermione. I'm Hermione. Thoughts. What was the question? Yes. I'll be as concise as I can. While the Back to the Future original is my favorite of the trilogy, Part 2 is one of the best examples of the bigger and better sequel, like the expanding, the building upon sequel. It's one of the best examples I could possibly think of when somebody takes an excellent concept and goes, what if, and just expands it just enough without beating it over the head and overdoing it, and it's just a minefield. It's just a candy store of just goodies. Is Part 2. Somehow just as many iconic moments, if not maybe more, because of like everybody wanted a hoverboard, and I playing around is like, here's what we did and was awesome in the first, but let's do it like 4 more ways in the second one. Absolutely could not do one without the other when I was a kid. They're both so excellent. The first one is a little bit better, but they're both so excellent. And then when we get to Last Stand, I have nothing but frustrating, disappointing, and angry memories with that film. Yeah, I think we can all agree just that this is the weakest of the original three. Such a step down, and I think just the detours they took. I guess it was just open season on the X-Men in that movie because just everybody just like pew pew pew. They just took everybody out in that movie, and that was upsetting. As Mara said, botched. Yeah, great. Just botched the Dark Phoenix storyline with that one. It was pretty ugly. I never want Brett Ratner to ever touch a superhero property ever again, or else I will cut his hands off. And I will personally find him. And I could watch it again. I could watch The Last Stand again, but there's too many moments in it that leave a sour taste in my mouth, and I can't pick it in any alternate timeline, as you will. I cannot pick it over Back to the Future Part 2.
All right. Lauren.
The Last Stand hurts my feelings. I take it really personally. To give you more insight than you asked into our relationship, one of the first conversations Jesse and I had was about X-Men. I think it's a real soft spot for both of us. And so we kind of went through the list of ones that we love and hate, and we got to Last Stand, and we were both just like, what could have been? What could have been? So simply for the insult of a film that The Last Stand was, I'm going to go Back to the Future Part 2.
All right. Adam.
X-Men The Last Stand has Brett Ratner's greasy, stubby fingerprints all over it. And I agree with Marisol's sentiment about cutting off his hands because of that. The thing about it is, I went back and watched it not too long ago, and I was trying to be as fair and objective as I could be, but what it comes down to is it's a very truncated X-Men in name only kind of movie, where everyone's there and they know what they're supposed to be doing, but they're not allowed to do it. And it was all building up to that Golden Gate Bridge moment, which is cool. And I'm not saying this isn't like a plot hole that ruins Magneto for me, but he's by the beach. The sand's enough. He doesn't need the goddamn bridge. He could just pull all the stuff out of the sand that he needs to and disintegrate everybody. Just a thought. But Back to the Future Part 2, you might see Marty McFly's Nikes behind me, like a lot of people my age have this poster. But in my defense, I bought this poster in college a long, long, long time ago. And I also have a ticket stub in there from October 21st, 2015, when they brought the movie back in theaters to celebrate the day that Marty goes back to the future in 2015. And it was a sold-out theater. I was on the road for a work trip, as I often am. And I went to that packed theater, and it just showed how much this movie has held up over the years. It's a much more complicated movie than the first one, but to Marisol's point, that's why I think it holds up. And for a lot of people, it's their favorite because it's arguably a more dynamic movie. You go to 3 different time periods in that one. But the first one's still my favorite. But Back to the Future Part 2 is a movie I rewatch often and with love. So it's no contest. The Last Stand is not good.
Taylor.
Yeah, I'm of the same kind of mindset as Mara with this one, where I'm like, I don't really have strong opinions about either movie. I grew up watching more Marvel-based kind of films. I didn't grow up with Back to the Future. I didn't watch Back to the Future until I was much older. And they're very well-made movies, but I know people are going to come at me for this, but I just get so bored. I just don't enjoy watching Back to the Future movies. I don't know what it is, but I just can't do it. And they just, he gets annoyed with me because I'll put them on and I'm like, I'm bored. I don't want to do this. But for some reason, I just can't connect with them. And is The Last Stand a good movie? No, but would I rather sit there and watch Hugh Jackman and Kelsey Grammer? Yes. So there we go. There's my vote.
All right.
Justice for Cyclops.
I would definitely go with Back to the Future 2. I think it's the I think it's a slightly better film, but not. Again, I'm kind of the same boat with you guys. Is I don't really have very strong opinions on either of these movies. I just think they're both kind of there. Back to the Future 1 is a masterpiece, and the other two exist. All right.
By the way, for kids that were X-Men the Animated Series kids, I really, really recommend this book by Eric and Julia Lewald. It's all about the art and like concept drawings and stuff for X-Men the Animated Series. It's fabulous. Like they have
Stop
wow.
Drop that link.
So cool.
Drop that link.
I think that their book is on Amazon, but like it's so detailed. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. So
I've gotten
the art and
several
making of
books
the animated
for
series.
hands-on.
I highly recommend it.
The creators of the X-Men animated series liked one of my X-Men posts on Twitter one time. So
you're basically a celebrity.
They're like the sweetest
right.
people ever too. So if you're able to support them, I highly encourage it. They're great.
We have 3 matchups left.
Oh boy.
And then we will call it a night for this first round of the wild card. This is going to be a long series. All right, let's move on to The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug versus Ant-Man and the Wasp. This one hurts me. This one because
you kick it off.
All right, I'm going to start this one. Desolation of Smaug is to me the best of the Hobbit movies. It's really the only one that's enjoyable. I really, really like Desolation of Smaug a lot. I can get through it from I'm not a fan of the other 2 Hobbit movies, but this one I can watch. I will watch all the time whenever it's on. This is not at the level of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but it's the closest that we've got to it. It's kind of, to me, it's like on par with the Star Wars sequels, like in terms of quality level. That being said, I really enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp as a great palate cleanser after Infinity War. So after Infinity War came and you just needed that fun action adventure film, that's what Ant-Man and the Wasp gave me, a really great action adventure film that I really enjoyed. But I am going to pick Desolation of Smaug because that film just works so much better for me and I really thoroughly enjoy it. I'm going to go now to Adam.
Okay. Well, I'll echo what you say about Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think it's an unoffensive, fun movie after Endgame. I like Paul Rudd's take on the character. I've always been a fan of Evangeline Lilly, who's in both of these films. I honestly think she needs to be in more stuff. She's wonderful. But Ant-Man and the Wasp it's a very slight entry in Marvel canon. I'm not upset with it. I think it's a fun enough movie to watch. Walton Goggins appears in that. I don't know if he remembers being in that movie, but he's in there. But Desolation of Smaug, I'm heavily invested in Middle-earth. So even Battle of the Five Armies would probably win in this fight for me. So I'm a little biased. Desolation of Smaug for me, but with acknowledgement that Ant-Man and the Wasp it's perfectly pleasant. But Desolation of Smaug, that they really nailed the scene from the book with Bilbo and Smaug, and that was big for me. And Martin Freeman and Cumberbatch together in that scene, like playing off some of their chemistry from Sherlock, was wonderful. And I love seeing that realized in this grand epic fashion. So yeah, Smaug.
All right, Mara.
Okay, I really thought this was going to go the other way, if I'm being totally honest. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is a fine MCU film. I don't hold it in top tier personally, but I don't begrudge people that do. I also remember Walton Goggins being in that movie, but the thing that I didn't like about that is that the Sonny Birch story, if you like excise it, the movie almost is unchanged. And so
Yeah.
I always have a problem like narratively with stuff like that. But I enjoy it. It's a fun rewatch. I never get mad at it ever, even though it's not in my upper tier MCU. And I'm right with Adam. Like any Middle Earth film, which I think the Hobbit trilogy objectively is inferior to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I still enjoy all of them. And even Battle of the Five Armies would have taken my vote in this. But I think almost any middle or above middle film in general would not get my vote compared to Desolation of Smaug because of that behind the scenes watching Cumberbatch like get all dragon like stuff. It's just so good, and that's like that brings me more joy just watching that than like the whole of Ant-Man and the Wasp, even though I really enjoy it.
Okay, Taylor.
So I have to pick Ant-Man and the Wasp in this because Desolation of Smaug personally attacks me when they spend far too much time with giant spiders, and I can't, from a personal level, I can't do it. That is, if you were to ask me my biggest fear that could ever happen in the universe, if there was a spider that size in front of me, I'm dead on arrival. Like my heart is just gonna stop. There is not like I can't do it. So
well, Taylor, by that logic, you should have picked Conquest over Return of the King.
I mean, I get that, but like, I can't hold that against Return of the King. Desolation of Smaug does not have the same. Like, I can't. There's levels to it.
In your defense, there are more spiders in Desolation.
It has acromantulas in it.
It does, but this movie goes so hard with it. They're like, everyone gets a spider. Every single one. There's enough spiders for all of you, and they're all giant. And congratulations, here's death. And I'm like, nope. So therefore, I cannot vote for this movie because that when I think Desolation of Smaug, I think my literal worst nightmare of being in a cave of just giant spiders, and I can't do it. So there you go.
I feel like I learned something about you. Like, hot Voldemort outgrosses your fear of acromantulas.
It does. These are important things.
Jesse, I'm going to go to you.
All right, Marvel shill coming at you. So I know I said how invested I am with Middle Earth, but there's no film franchise I'm as invested in as the MCU, so that's the starting point that we're going with here. Unpopular opinion, because I come across very few people that agree with me. I prefer Ant-Man and the Wasp to the first Ant-Man, largely due to I enjoy Ghost a lot more as a villain than I did Yellow Jacket. I think Yellow Jacket's one of the weakest villains in the entirety of Marvel. Everything that you guys have said about Smaug and Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman is spot on. Unfortunately, there's another 2 hours of that movie that don't hold up to that. I don't hate this movie. I really don't. I like it, and I agree that it's the best of the three. But best of a bloated trilogy that could have been one long movie probably doesn't necessarily give it a win over a more than decent MCU film. So for me, it's Ant-Man and the Wasp.
All right. Lauren, where are you going?
Well, much of the same mindset as this handsome man here. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp did a lot of things that I loved. And it's so simple, but I feel like all the ladies here, they gave her a ponytail. And that sounds so stupid, but as a woman, it meant a lot to me. I'm like, pull your effing hair back. You don't need it down. I loved seeing Janet Van Dyne. She is very personal to me. I love her. Ghost, I thought was a great villain. I thought the humor was great. I thought the cinematography was beautiful. Smaug, for me, I echo a lot of your sentiments. And like I said, I'm a fantasy slut. This one was hard for me. I have to go Ant-Man and the Wasp because I like more things that they did in that movie than I do about Smaug. They did wonderful things, but ultimately I have to give it to Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I thought you were going to disagree with me. Right on.
So, Marisol, you are the first person of the night to get a deciding vote.
Oh,
So,
the power.
Where are you
I
going
have
with your
it.
deciding
Have the
vote?
power. Okay. So story time. No, I'm kidding. I won't do that to you guys. But just a quick quick, as far as books go, I will always reread The Hobbit before I reread The Lord of the Rings. Love the Hobbit book. Love it. I will always rewatch the Lord of the Rings films before I rewatch the Hobbit films. For what Jesse said, the bloating, the adding, the making up, the fan fiction overload with the Hobbit films is too much for me to bear. It's a lot. Easily could have been tightened down to one long film or possibly two. That being said, you don't give somebody a medal just because of the best of the worst. But Desolation of Smaug. So we have that to thank because we now get to hear Ellis say Smaug all the time in Schmoedown matches. Smaug. But it is the best of the three. It still doesn't mean like it automatically beats Ant-Man and the Wasp, but Ant-Man is my least favorite origin film in the MCU. I think it's the one that, out of all of them, it's the one that didn't sell me. I was just like, it felt too unremarkable for me. It didn't grab me. And that just continued, and I wasn't excited about Ant-Man and the Wasp. I didn't feel any enthusiasm for it. And I just think, to what everybody's saying, I just think it's just too slight, and too comfort food without actually being remarkable. And we give it a pass because it's likable, and Paul Rudd's so likable, and we love Evangeline Lilly, and she's also in Desolation of Smaug, and she's a lot better in that. Or if I had to choose one movie to watch her in, I would rather watch her in Desolation of Smaug. But I think we can all agree that Smaug is one of the highlights of the series, of the Hobbit series. And that just gets so much, that it goes so far as actually being a memorable highlight more than anything in these two films, that will tip it in that direction for me. And that makes Desolation of Smaug win over Ant-Man and the Wasp because it's a no-brainer.
Wow.
I was not expecting that. Okay,
Desolation of
Desolation of Smaug makes it through. Was not expecting that. All right, well,
Yeah, I can't. I can't argue with it. They're both.
No disrespect to the shills, the MCU shills.
all right, guys, we've got two more. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Shit!
I have feelings.
Oh, this is the hottest one of the night. All right, this one.
No!
Can we just do the soundtracks? Oh, wait, that might be worse.
That might be worse.
The crowd is in a tizzy.
What I want, what I really want is I want to come back for Turbo, a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie versus the Crow City of Angels. That's what I want.
Oh God. Oh
no. So we're talking about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers recently.
No, so this is the 90s one.
Okay, the 90s one. Okay, that's what I wanted to double check.
There was no Mighty Morphin in the new one. Sorry, at least in the title.
The song was in there, though. The
song makes it in there eventually. Yeah.
Well, obviously, we're taking liberties. We didn't say Aliens versus Predator. Okay, so I'm just no. All right,
that
so
was a typo.
Jacob, it's time for you to retire from the Schmoedown.
Fair.
So that is a joke. We love you. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, was this wonderful, like slightly higher budget version of the show, where they had some CGI, they didn't have to rely entirely on stock footage. That movie is funny, and it's got a great video game companion piece on Genesis and Super Nintendo. If you can play the old physical game or download an emulator, the game's great. The Crow, though. Okay. So I'm of that age from that era where The Crow was a very big deal for me. And I grew up listening to all the bands on that soundtrack. And The Crow channeled my existential angst and all of that kind of stuff into this wonderful character. And then Brandon Lee's passing is like horrific. But it's, for better or worse, it's immortalized the film. And when you watch it, like, it's not a perfect movie. It's not a perfect comic book movie, but it's so earnest. And the imagery is so iconic. And there are moments in that are laugh out loud, hilarious in the darkest way possible. I'm a big fan of the source material with The Crow. And while I think there are some, a couple moments in this movie that are melodramatic and, a bit rote, it's still, again, so genuine in its emotion. And the soundtrack's amazing, and there's some fantastic action. So The Crow wins 1,000% for me. But Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, is hilarious. Go see it. It's a lot of fun. It's
Human
really
Chain.
fun. Yeah. If this were between Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, and Steel, Power Rangers all the way.
Marisol, where would you be going?
This is genuinely tough for me because of two conflicting like trains of thought. I'm like, well, I'm exactly the age group that like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I was like, oh my God. I remember seeing this as a kid in theaters, and yep, I was an anime character. I had like the stars in my eyes, and I was like, oh, like I just, this was a big win. And did I see The Crow in theaters? No, because I that would be like illegal, and I didn't. And I saw it later when I was old enough to see it. So I didn't have the magic and the build up of like looking forward to it and seeing that in theaters. So it's intense nostalgia with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I was finally seeing like one of my favorite TV shows as a kid, like on the big screen. Wow. And that holds a lot of importance, like personal importance as why we love films and what they mean to us, blah, blah, blah. And, but I also have to be objective, use like age and experience to be objective, and say that The Crow was a big step forward for comic book film. And it was a big and important step forward of showing these stories and showing them legitimately and taking them seriously and creating, like Adam said, like an earnest story, like extracting genuine pathos out of a story and showing it, and showing it beautifully shot, well done, excluding, the tragedy, the length, the legend, not the legend, but the tragedy that has become since, infamous because of it, the tragedy linked to the film with Brandon Lee. But I think that The Crow matters more in the long run, in the scheme of things, for moving the genre forward and legitimizing it. And actually being just completely objectively speaking, a better film. So I have to lean, even though, my little, my heart is bursting out of my chest and is like, but I loved that, but I had so much fun. I have so many more personal memories and enjoyment linked to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I do have to go with The Crow because I think that is objectively a better film. Also dealing with completely different subject matter, but still I think objectively a better film and did more for moving the genre forward.
Mara, where are you going?
Well, there's not a lot I can add other than what I gleaned personally, which is I was a dark child. I used to fall asleep listening to The Silence of the Lambs like every night, and I saw it right when it came out, and I was in the single digits age-wise, so it's
nice.
pretty early. But
A woman after my own heart.
I feel like we need a girls' night with just these ladies here, because I found my kindred spirits, ladies-wise. But I really appreciate, even without the real life tragedy, depression in a bottle, whether it's from a song or a movie or a book. a photograph. And so I find that The Crow makes me feel a weird amount of peace because it is so visceral and so depressing. And even though it has extraordinary elements in it, it feels very real because things like that happen to people every single day. And I really appreciate the fact that they could bring that to people in an accessible way that doesn't feel like it was made to make you feel miserable and then make you feel wonderful. It just feels like telling a story, and the idea that they could bring that source material to light in a way that actually worked. And I even think the sequel works. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I do. So Depression in a Bottle is going to win, even though I saw Mighty Morphin Power Rangers repeatedly as a child. I love watching it. I thoroughly enjoy it. I find it to be just a delightful piece of trash. And so sadly, I'm going to vote for Depression.
All right. Lauren, where are you going?
This one is really hard for me for a lot of the same reasons as Marisol. Me and my younger sister, Mighty Morphin is like a spiritual experience for us. We were both in love with Tommy. If you say you weren't, you were lying. I wanted to be Kimberly. And I just like a moment of silence for the sound effects in Mighty Morphin, just the like it's Mighty Morphin will never get old to me. It's so special. Jesse introduced me to The Crow.
This year.
Much like Mara, he knows that I like very dark things. And I hadn't seen it, and he was like, I think that based on everything about you, you will like this movie. And I did. And so, again, I feel like I'm just copying Marisol. Objectively, yes, it is a much better film. It broke my heart in the best way. It really pains me to do this to Mighty Morphin because the amount of love I have for it is unholy. Watching the newest one, as soon as that theme song started, I was like singing along and clapping, and I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. But if we're being completely honest and which one I truly think is the better film, it has to be The Crow. It hurt to say that. Those words hurt.
She's gonna need therapy.
This is somehow, Jacob, this is the hardest one, and I'm not happy with you about it.
That's fair.
Well, it's a really real Sophie's choice for me.
Taylor, what's yours of the Sophie's choice?
I mean, I feel like there's not much else I can add at this point. Like, I feel like we're all going through it. We're all having a real one together right now, where we're just suffering. And this one right here is really the culmination of what this show actually is. Where you gotta suffer, and you just gotta go with it.
This is when we have to grow up, guys.
Yeah,
All right.
I refuse.
So much the same as pretty much everybody else. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to me was, oh my god, it's the TV show that I love on the big screen. It was something where it was like an experience for me. It's very nostalgic. It's one of those things where Power Rangers is just, it was ingrained in my childhood, and it was a big thing for me. And these movies and the TV show, it's a lot of fun. But then you've got, as I'm going with this now, Depression in a Bottle. Like, I don't know how to me, I'm like, is it going to absolutely crush my soul? Yes. All right. Let's do it. Let's just go in for some soul crushing. We got to do this is, I don't think this is the one you were expecting to crush people.
No, I was not expecting this to be Infinity War.
But I have to go with the I have to go with The Crow.
All right. Jesse, your final act.
Can you just vote for Mighty Morphin? So let's
go one.
I just want it to have one vote.
This is the most somber,
Sure, honey, I'll
one
vote.
we've had. Yeah.
So, The Crow, I'm 28 is math.
Correct.
Thank you. And so I super grew up with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and honestly, I'm a much bigger fan of the movie than I ever was the show. I watched the show, but the movie means so much more to me. Both my sisters are older than me, and one of their favorite things to do is we would try to form the human chain and spin around in a circle. And this movie starts with people skydiving and like surfboarding in the air to higher ground, which if that's not a super like 90s punk mood, I don't know what is.
Well, and then like a moment for Ivan Ooze. I mean,
Paul
can't,
Freeman
Love
from
him.
Indiana Jones fame. Fame.
Yes.
That's the word. And anyway, so I don't want to just gush on Mighty Morphin to
Why not?
not pick. I mean, I do want to do that. The Crow, if I'm not mistaken, Heath Ledger references Brandon Lee as inspiration for The Dark Knight, which that in itself is incredible. Two tragedies linked together in two phenomenal performances, and you can see it. And as much as Mighty Morphin oozes with attitude, I think that The Crow oozes with like a very special aura of darkness.
Yeah.
It's like bottling depression, you know, and just putting it in a bottle. And
What
I
an
think,
original thought.
I thank you, and I really enjoyed that.
You know what? You know what a good name for that drink would be, Jesse? Hangman's Joy.
That's not
Oh.
but yes, I enjoyed
That's
The
the
Crow.
band.
I have to say The Crow is my choice. I'm sorry, but it's hard. I agree with Lauren. This is the worst one so far because it really is nostalgia versus like kind of also nostalgia, but like a different form.
Well, this I was not expecting this to be our Avengers Infinity War of everything, where it just ends in depression and everyone hating everyone. So, everyone hating me, mate, mostly. So I'll be nice. And I'll give a little bit. I'll give the little bit of hope, and I will vote for Mighty Morphin for you.
You're
Mighty Morphin
forgiven.
gets
You're
one vote.
forgiven. Thank you.
Now we can sleep.
Now we can. Now
Somebody
we'll,
likes it.
You guys,
Yeah.
are you ready for
All
the
right.
last
This is our
It
palette
can't be
cleanser.
harder
This
than
is
that
our-
one.
This is our
Don't
Ant-Man
put that in the
Lost,
universe.
nice easy one, I think, that will
Wow.
just be a nice palette cleanser. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader versus Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. I don't know if this is Ant-Man and the Wasp or Endgame, where you guys are just all like, I hate everything. So I am going to start. Jesse, you may start as your punishment for not picking Mighty Morphin.
All right, so listen. The ultimate cut of Batman v Superman, I find to be fully watchable. In fact, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. I kind of enjoy it.
That's generous.
Like I said, I didn't say hot take, but it is a hot take. Maybe. I will watch this movie
Not
on
prescribed.
purpose. I believe that the Chronicles of Narnia is a sliding scale with a real high beginning, and yeah, it's not a real like disparaging difference, but I'm gonna say Dawn of Justice because of the highlights. It's not great, but it has moments.
Fair. Marisol.
All right. The Chronicles of Narnia films are there's not a weak one, I don't think, in the bunch, in all three that got greenlit. But they're not impressionable enough. And I do think the strongest is the first. But they're not impressionable enough. And I'm a dark horse that I'll show my hand. I am a DC chill. Can you tell? I mean, is it obvious? But
we're more
You hide
kindred
it
than
very
you
well.
than you think. We're more kindred than you think.
But-
All my comics are DC.
fair enough. But I'm one of the defenders. I'm an avid defender of Dawn of Justice. I love. I'm a fan of the Snyderverse for going there, even if it doesn't always 100% succeed. It goes there. Snyder's obsessed with these alternate, like the dark storylines, the alternate storylines, the alternate timelines. He loves going there to the dark ones. And I love that he I love what he did with Dawn of Justice. I was admittedly a fan of it before the Ultimate Cut. I still gave it the benefit of the doubt. I still liked being pulled in all these directions. Superman has been such a Boy Scout for like 80 years. And I loved that the popular version of him was finally starting to just go to really dark places, and show him in moments of doubt and uncertainty and in conflict over public image. I find conceptually what happens in these films in general fascinating, even if the execution isn't pitch perfect. I still find it fascinating where they go, and I do really enjoy Dawn of Justice. I would pick it over, like I said, over Voyage of the Dawn Treader, only for the fact that like I can remember almost nothing about Voyage of the Dawn Treader, even though I enjoyed C.S. Lewis's books. I still think that the combination of just the imagery, Snyder's always excelled in imagery, and the combination of the imagery and trying to bring the most iconic moments from the comic strips into his films, he excels at that. And I think he does that better than any filmmaker adapting comic books. I think he does it better than anybody, and I think he deserves credit for that. And those images just leap off the pages in Dawn of Justice. Everything you could have imagined reading the comics. And I think that the Ultimate Cut is the superior version. It's tragic that didn't get to be the theatrical version. But I still think that this is a film that I know is divisive for a lot. And a lot of people, especially when it first came out, a lot of people just love to say like, yeah, it sucks. It just sucks. That's it. The book, yeah, case closed. It sucks. And I think that there is a lot to mine and a lot conceptually and thematically to mine from these films. With a cast that is all fair game. And I think a lot of people talk about how Ben Affleck is one of their favorite Batmans.
I don't know.
One of their favorite versions of Batman. And it's because of what he had to work with in this film. I can't say enough good things about Dawn of Justice. Not my favorite DCEU film, but I think deserves a lot more credit than the bad rap that it's gotten. And easily is my pick over Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
I think Jesse might leave me for you.
That is not true. keep it on. Keep it on.
Mara.
Prepare
I love you
yourselves.
so much.
Oh, all right.
This is probably the most excited I've been the whole time, and I've been really excited. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's
Okay.
sitting
First
in
of
the
all, I
corner
just
of the
want to
chair.
say that I love that it looks like the Dawn Treader boat is going to fight Batman and Superman. The Voyage of the Dawn Treader v. Batman v. Superman. Anyway,
Longest
There's a lot
titles
of
ever
Vs.
competition. Yeah.
okay. Every single time I rewatch BVS, I like it more. And I won't lie. When I walked out of the theater the first time, I was like, well, narratively, this has problems from a structural standpoint, but I didn't hate it. I just didn't understand why it was the way it was. And yes, Ultimate Edition, solid A for me. Like it works. It really, really works. But the score, again, I just got to talk about the music of that freaking movie. That score is brilliant. And it makes like my body, I have that thing where like music stimulates me. Like I can get goosebumps from listening to like a commercial for a car. Like,
Me
and I
too.
get like my ears will like, the hairs inside my ears will move. And so like it makes my brain tingle. Like, you know how there are people that have that can taste colors? I'm kind of like that with music. Like I get very stimulated by music, and that music slams. Like it is just so great. And we got our freaking Wonder Woman theme. We got our Trinity pose, like splash page me, like and then Batfleck, total sploosh. I am a big fan. Jeremy Irons, that's my Alfred. Hashtag that's my Alfred. Like I really, really get excited about this movie every time I rewatch it. Did not expect to ever be saying that. If you'd asked me in 2016, I'd be like, oh, I have to watch this for Inner Geekdom. Wow, that's not going to be fun. But it is. It's fun every single time. And even when I have to watch, like before we were allowed to have extended cuts in Inner Geekdom Schmodown, and I just had to watch theatrical, it was like, it was still fun. Every single time it got more and more and more fun. And Snyder for me is very hit or miss, but this one just stick the dart right inside of that little red circle on the dartboard. Like, I'm here for it. I kind of want to go watch it right after this now.
Making me want to watch it, honestly.
Watch along. I'm feeling like that's a solid maybe. But yeah,
Whose channel?
Chronicles of Narnia that movie's fine, but to me, even the first one, which would have at least given BVS a run for its money, because I love that movie, I think it's a great movie, it just wouldn't be able to get my vote, not even for a second. I'd think about it, but I'd only think about it for like this much time, and then I would say, hot Batman, check. Hot Alfred, check. Superman, yeah, why not? I maybe. Lois Lane, sure, yeah. Wonder Woman, F yeah. Like, I'm that just the cast. It's like moisture.
All right, Adam, where are you going with this one?
Did I break Marisol?
Well, we broke you earlier, so I think you've now broken Marisol. So that's the whole
I'm
point.
not sure how Adam's going to follow any of this.
Hey, maybe he's thirsty for Lawrence Fishburne. I don't know. No
There you
judgment.
go. Yeah.
The voyage, what I was going to say, is the voyage of the Dawn Treader is very moist. Get this.
I will not be invited back.
Imagine the trailer.
Oh no, you are.
Okay.
I'm probably not going to do this show without you now, Mara.
All right.
Just, I hope you're busy. I hope every single Sunday night is now free for the next 20 weeks. You've now booked yourself for the next 20 weeks. I'm just fair warning you.
Mara's
have to
providing
bring
more
Marisol with me
hashtags
or
than
it won't
anybody
work.
else. Hashtag hot Voldemort. Hashtag moisture. All right.
I'm sorry, Adam. Please go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's a tough act to follow. I'm not going to deny it.
Hashtag
But
depression in a bottle.
yes. What I wish they had done for Voyage of the Dawn Treader is I wish they'd advertise it to film nerds and alienated a mass audience by saying, this summer or this Christmas or whatever the hell, coming from the director of The Coal Miner's Daughter. And The World Is Not Enough. And Enough. He directed both of those movies. He directed The World Is Not Enough and Enough. So Voyage of the Dawn Treader is tastefully bland. That is like Narnia cracks me up as a film franchise because it was trying. It gave it the old college try. It kept going. And then, but Batman versus Superman is that beautiful, messy experiment that does get better when you rewatch it. And having the advantage of the director's cut is wonderful. My biggest gripe with that film is honestly Doomsday. I just wish they'd saved him for a different movie because I love that storyline from the Death of Superman comic series, and I think Doomsday deserves his own movie. I think building up to him deserves his own movie. And honestly, with where they're going, they could do a whole separate Doomsday storyline, just reboot it from scratch, and I wouldn't think twice about it at this point. That's my biggest gripe, which is to say I think Batman vs. Superman deserves, again, what everyone's been saying, a lot more credit than it gets. I walked out of that theater being very interested in what I'd seen, even though it was messy. And then when I got the Blu-ray director's cut, it just all clicked a lot better. And I enjoy rewatching it. I have to kind of gear myself up for it because it's a long flick, but it's a lot of fun. And Voyage of the Dawn Treader is completely ingestible cinema, I guess. But for my money, I guess I would, if pressed, I'd say Coal Miner's Daughter is slightly more exciting.
So Voyage of the Dawn Treader gets points because Ben Barnes. For me,
you can't steal my answer.
I'm like, all right, points. We're adding some points for that. That's some good stuff.
You got to weigh your hot bends.
Oh, Barnes any day.
Sorry, is that anything?
we're definitely having a girls' night stream.
I was gonna say
That's all I'm
thirst
gonna
is
say.
clearly a common theme in all of the females' arguments tonight.
Moisture.
For men or women, yeah, moisture is a
hashtag moisture stream.
Oh god.
I'm way out for that one. I'm way out.
Okay, I'm trying to get back on track here. All right. So I was one of the people that walked out of Dawn of Justice devastated. Like, I was really upset walking out of that movie. I couldn't vibe with it. I didn't know what to make of it. I felt like it was messy. But to me, as long as you talk about the extended cut, the director's edition, I will watch the movie and appreciate it. I have so much appreciation for the story that we get told in the extended version of it. Just personally, I get so much more out of it, and story-wise, it makes sense to me. That being said, going along with Mara, the score of this movie, the Wonder Woman score alone is like plus 100 points. Like, I can't look at this and be like, oh, well, there's the Wonder Woman score, and then there's Ben Barnes. Like, I just can't. I can't do it. As much as I would like to do it, I can't do it. So it has to go to Dawn of Justice.
Laura, where are you going with this one?
Well, I woke up today and I chose violence because I don't like either of these movies. Well, one of the first disagreements Jesse and I had was about Dawn of Justice.
The agreement I'll never win is I've said, like, I would love for you to watch the ultimate cut, and I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Well, now that all these lovely people have said so, maybe I'll give it a chance.
So you're saying
Our
there's a
opinion matters
chance.
more to her than yours.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
I, like Taylor, left Dawn of Justice and was like, what the hell?
I did, honestly.
What the hell?
I left the theatrical
And
cut.
I left the theater of Voyage of the Dawn Treader and I was like, Ben Barnes is so hot. And that was my only takeaway from Dawn Treader. The rest of it is like eating a cracker that doesn't taste like anything. That you're like, it didn't offend me, but there was no flavor. Ben Barnes is the only flavor. Yeah, I don't particularly like either. Simply, yeah. Ben Affleck is not my favorite Batman. That's another area of contention here. It's okay.
It's a close race.
That's
for
true.
me.
Jeremy Irons
I
vest.
just said that I was here for it.
Yes, Jeremy Irons' vest is the best part of that movie.
I think it's
Yeah.
a much easier conversation. What's the weakest Batman versus what's the best Batman? Everybody's got a
That's
different answer
true.
for the
That's
best.
definitely true.
Yeah, but the
I-
weakest is a much easier
Whoever
conversation.
that son of a bitch was in Space Jam: A New Legacy is the worst Batman.
Well, Will Arnett's number one,
That's your
right?
poll
Will
quote right
Arnett's
now,
number
Adam.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
I think just to be a little chaotic, I'll choose Narnia because nobody else did.
I like it.
All
And
right.
I
like
just
it.
really didn't like Dawn of Justice.
Share the love. I
right.
like that.
Speak
I
your
just
truth,
now
girl.
realized that Dawn's in both titles. Am I slow to that?
Yeah,
Or, okay, cool.
A little
cool,
bit,
cool, cool.
but welcome.
Well,
But maybe
guys,
now I'll give it another chance.
The Chronicles of Superman, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader of Justice. What about that?
Yes.
For
There
that
we
movie.
go.
As
We're
long as
going
it's
to
the
edit
extended
together
cut.
a super cut of both of these movies. And that's
The
going to be
Barnes
our one.
cut.
well, very
But-
quickly, I'm
Ooh.
going to give you a tease for next week's matchups. So here is what we have very quickly. Batman Returns versus Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Mm.
Avengers Infinity War versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990. Daredevil versus Star Trek The Motion Picture.
These are fun.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets versus Doctor Strange.
Ooh.
The Lord of the Rings Return of the King versus The Phantom Menace. Was not expecting that one.
Mm-mm.
Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 sequel.
We're watching
series.
Turtles 2
Why does
before we
that
get
one
there.
fit so well?
Yeah.
They're both very
Back to the
goofy.
Future 2 versus The Hobbit, The Desolation of
Oh.
Smaug. And lastly, The Crow versus Batman.
Ooh,
Superman,
these are
Dawn
juicy.
of Justice.
These are
That
all
last
pretty
one
juicy.
That
sucks
is-
for some of us.
So that is going to be next week, the first round of next week's matchups. However, more than likely we will be able to do the rest of the wildcard bracket next week as well. So thank you everyone here for joining us. I'm going to go through the board. Adam Collins, where can people find you online?
You can see my nonsense right there at Eisentor. It's a nonsense name on Twitter and Letterboxd. That's really all I do other than appear on programs periodically and compete in this trivia thing we all obsess over.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, mate, for joining us. This was a lot of fun, and we hope to see you next week.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Marisol, where can they find you online?
Not very many places because I like to keep to my hobbit hole most of my time, most of my days. But I do occasionally, especially through the Schmodown, I tweet more now that I'm involved in the Schmodown. You can find me at Marisol_Miriah, MIRIAH, on Twitter. And probably I'm most active also on my letterbox, where I log and write little blurbs about the movies I'm watching constantly because I love movies. So I'm watching movies all the time. So you can find me on those two places, and that's about it.
All right. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Jesse and Lauren, where can the people find you online?
Hi. Well, Lauren occasionally is on the channel.
I'm
and
just here sometimes.
She is here sometimes, and always looking lovely. You can find me or us on the Flick in Real YouTube channel. I added that right down. My microphone's blocking the way, but you see it right there. Also, you can find me on Twitter at Jesse Swift. And I mean, outside of that, it's studying, because like these fine fellows and she fellows. I'm good with words. We're studying for the Schmodown because, it's become a part of our lifeblood, and that's a lot of fun. So, and hopefully you can find me on here again, because this was the most fun I've had online in a good amount of time.
Oh, absolutely. And sorry, I'm Marisol. I didn't say yes. You are also absolutely invited next week, as you always will be. Thank you very much, guys, and we'll hopefully see you next week. Mara, where can they find you online?
Your resident moisture farmer, Mara. You can find me on Twitter at that Mara. I don't understand Instagram, but I'm at that Mara LA if you want to teach me, because I don't understand it. I occasionally lurk over on Dan Murrell's channel and on his Patreon. I'm sure you guys can find that on your own. But I really just want to thank everyone else. This was also legitimately the most fun I've had online in a really, really long time. 2.5 hours went by like that. I also demanded in the private chat we go for 3 more hours. I was ignored.
That is fair. Well, you will definitely be back next week, and I think just book in for the next 20 weeks because, I want you on these shows. So you're all booking in for the next 20 weeks. I'm sorry. Well, guys, that's it. Taylor, where can they find you?
Okay, so you can find me pretty much everywhere that exists on the internet at Finally Tailored. YouTube, Letterboxd, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, everywhere. All of the links for everyone are down in the description, by the way, as well. All of our links, everyone on the show, their links are down there if you want to find them. I tried to make it as easy as possible for everyone to find everyone, so definitely check that out.
And guys, you can just find me at the usual everywhere at Jacob at Blunden.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. I had a great time. I think it went pretty well. Like, they kind of hate you now, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, they're not at full
We're still
hatred yet.
working towards that, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for everyone who hung out with us today. It was a blast. Time just flew by, and I'm so excited to keep doing this because I think we all just had a great time. So hopefully you guys will tune in with us next week, and we'll see you then.
See you then. Bye.